When you're thinking about swapping out an old water heater for something that actually keeps up with a busy household, it's easy to feel stuck between the fear of overspending and the worry that a tankless unit might end up delivering cold showers when you need it most. I've spent a good chunk of the past month digging through forums, watching installation videos, and reading the fine print on a few of the top propane models, so I can help you cut through the hype and see whether this kind of system really fits your home. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the problem most people face with traditional tank heaters. They sit there, full of water you might never use. And when a big demand hits, say, 2 showers back-to-back plus the dishwasher, you suddenly notice the temperature dip. A tankless solution promises endless hot water. But the reality depends on the flow rate you need, the temperature rise you expect, and how your house is wired for gas. The Rinnai RE180iP is positioned as a mid-range, indoor-rated propane unit that can push up to about 8.5 gallons per minute. In plain language, that's enough to handle a shower and a kitchen faucet at the same time in most average-sized homes. But it won't keep a large bathtub full while 3 people are washing dishes, running the washing machine, and taking a bath all at once. Knowing that baseline helps you decide if the unit's capacity lines up with your peak usage. What really matters after you click Add to Cart is how the heater behaves once it's installed. Rinnai markets this model as smart and compact, which translates into a few tangible benefits. The unit is small enough to fit in a utility closet, a basement niche, or even a well-ventilated garage, so you don't need to sacrifice a whole wall of space. Its electronic control board lets you set the desired output temperature with a simple knob, and the display will flash an error code if something goes wrong, which is far easier to troubleshoot than hunting for a mechanical reset button. Because it runs on propane, you avoid the higher electricity costs that come with electric tankless units, and you get a faster heat-up time compared with a standard gas tank that needs to recover after each draw. Installation is where the rubber meets the road, and Rinnai is clear that a professional should handle it. The unit needs proper venting to the outside, a dedicated gas line sized for 180,000 BTU, and sufficient clearance for maintenance access. For DIY-savvy homeowners, the manual does a decent job of laying out the steps, but you'll still need a qualified technician to stamp it as code compliant, especially if you live in a jurisdiction with strict ventilation rules. That extra cost, typically $400, $600 for labor, and any necessary venting parts adds a noticeable chunk to the total price. So factor that in before you decide whether the upfront savings over a tank model makes sense. Now let's walk through a day in the life of someone who actually uses this heater. Imagine a family of 4 where the morning routine starts at 6 a.m. The first person showers, the second gets ready at the sink, and the third runs a quick rinse for a pet. With the RE180iP, each of those draws stays comfortably hot because the unit is already heating water on demand, and there's no waiting for a tank to refill. Midday, the dishwasher cycles while the kids splash in the tub. You might notice a slight dip if you try to run a full-size tub and a high-flow shower together, but the water stays warm enough for most people. In the evening, a single shower after dinner is no problem at all. The never run out of hot water claim holds up for typical usage patterns, just not for a marathon of simultaneous high-flow fixtures. If you live in a smaller apartment or a condo with limited gas lines, you might run into a snag. The unit's 180,000 BTU demand can be a stretch for older gas meters that are only rated for lower capacities. In those cases, you either need to upgrade your gas service, a potentially pricey undertaking, or you'll experience the unit cycling off because it can't get enough fuel, which translates into that dreaded cold water surprise. So a quick check with your utility provider before ordering is a must. What about the ongoing costs? Propane prices fluctuate, but on a per BTU basis, they're generally cheaper than electricity. Because the heater only fires when you need hot water, you avoid the standby losses that a traditional tank incurs 24/7. Over a year, many owners report a modest reduction in their utility bills, especially in colder climates where you have to raise the temperature more. However, you'll also need to schedule an annual inspection to keep the venting clear and the burner clean, something you might not think about with a tank that just sits there. Strengths worth highlighting. The compact footprint frees up space. The electronic controls make temperature adjustments straightforward. The propane fuel source gives you quick heat.